Real talk now about a stinging defeat for President Obama as he returns from a trip overseas. Members of his own party forcing the president to scrap a tax hike on the middle class, targeting those 529 college savings accounts. Well, meantime, his approval rating in Gallup's tracking poll hit 50% for the first time since May of 2013. But as we just saw with his failed tax plan, there's little public enthusiasm for the president's liberal agenda. Chris Plant is a syndicated radio talk show host. Leslie Marshall is a Fox News contributor and syndicated radio talk show host. And they are here to debate this today. All right. So, Leslie, it wasn't Republicans. I mean, they were against this taxing of the 529 college plans, which many of us participate in. But it was Nancy Pelosi and it was Chris Van Hollen, very prominent Democrats, who called the president to complain about it and made him change his mind just a week after he announced the plan.
And I honestly think they did the right thing, Gretchen. When you look at the 529s, approximately 7 million of them, over 80% are the benefit is to households with 150,000 or more. 70% of that is 200,000 or more. This is not a benefit to the middle class. This is not a tax break for the middle class. Although I and many Democrats support the president's idea for free community college, this is not an idea that I and other Democrats like Nancy Pelosi could support, and they did the right thing.
So you don't think anybody in the middle class takes advantage of the 529 college savings plan?
Well, I think when you just look at the pure numbers of income, that's higher than a middle-class family's income across the board in the United States.
Yeah.
So the majority of the benefit goes to the majority of the recipients.
I guess it depends on how you value middle class. I mean, how you define middle class and where you live in this country, because that changes the equation for millions of people. Chris, what do you think about it?
Well, look, it is a tax on the middle class, $120,000, whatever the figure is, in New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco. As you said, Gretchen, it depends on where you're standing. Look, wealthy people write a check for college. Wealthy people don't squirrel away a couple $100s a month and hope that it amounts to something when their child turns 18. Wealthy people don't really worry about paying for college. The middle class worries about paying for college. It was a middle class tax. Chris Van Hollen and Nancy Pelosi make it clear that it was a tax on the middle class. And it was presented dishonestly. You know, we're only going to tax Mr. Charlie, the rich guys, and the middle class. Don't worry about it. We're not going to touch you.
Yeah.
And it was false. They got called on it. Good.
Okay. I want to move on to this because here's a question for you. Hillary could be back on the hot seat with new testimony on Benghazi, according to Congressman Elijah Cummings. Listen to this.
Yeah.
The chairman had asked me to inquire of Secretary Clinton back in December or November, whether she would come. She immediately said she would do that.
All right, so Leslie, it appears that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will come before the Benghazi Select Committee. What are we going to learn from that?
I don't think we're going to learn anything new. I don't think we learn anything new after committee. Bipartisan committees have found, as I said before, there's no there there. And I think the fact that former Madam Secretary Clinton is not only willing to come and comply, but is actually saying, hey, you know, dates available this month and next month, December and January, shows that she feels a responsibility as a former Secretary of State to be there and to answer these questions, and that she has nothing to hide.
And that she probably has to show up if she has any idea or hope of wanting to become president as well, right, Chris?
I agree with you.
Well, as Hillary herself said, what difference at this point does it make? I think she feels like she's gotten away with it at this point, and maybe she'll show up and maybe she won't. I haven't heard Hillary Clinton tell me or say in public on camera that she's going to show up. So Congressman Cummings said this. Great. Let's see Hillary show up, testify with Republicans in charge of the committee,
right?
And you know,
and
let's,
Democrats
let
agreeing
the
to be part of the committee as well. That's a very important point. But we'll see how we'll see how it plays out, because she would no doubt be one of the top 3 people that the American public and members of Congress would want to hear from again. Chris and Leslie, have a fantastic rest of the week.
Thanks, Chris.